Welcome to episode 17 of the 200 Movie Challenge. Soto, by the end of today's podcast, total combined, we're going to have
Mhm.
75 films under wraps. I'm
Wow.
75. I want
Okay.
you to really think about that number. So we're not even halfway there, but we're on a good pace. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, it just
Uh,
seems wild, like 75. And I will tell you, this is probably the most random episode. I mean, I feel like I've said that a few times, but I think because we had to skip a week, um,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
there's going to be
This is
some
gonna be. Yeah.
interesting titles. But before we get
Yep.
started, before last week, what I did, I felt like I needed to do a little look at my list. And I was like, because I always feel like maybe like certain things can flip flop. We've done this from time to time. And what I did is like I look at number one and two. I'm like, okay, is that good? Then two and three and so on. And I'm like, I kind
Mhm.
of rearranged them. So the top half of my list, Soto, has stayed the same. Nothing has
Oh,
changed.
nice.
So there's a few things changed down below. When I really thought about it, I will be honest, Beetlejuice went above Aladdin because I know I've been shitting on it, but I did like the
You really
Jenna.
have.
Well, no, because I still like the Jenna Ortega story. I still like a couple. I did laugh at a couple parts. I just felt like it should have been more, and I still want you to see it
Yeah.
some days. But so
Oh,
that
I'm
kind
going to
um,
soon.
Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies moved down a little bit, not to the bottom
Oh, you
like your
sure?
list. Yes, well, here's why. I so if that's not my line, I have a line here, Soto. So if it goes below
Uh,
Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies, there's something wrong because I know it is a bad movie and I knew that going in. But the
uh-huh.
first like 10, 15 minutes, I'm just laughing because it's Piper, so there was some enjoyment. But like the four movies that are underneath it are shit beyond shit. And I'm just like, I can't even
I
put it
believe it.
above Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies because I had like Kind of Pregnant, which was cringe, and I'm
Mhm.
not a big fan of cringe. Lift, which is the most unoriginal movie I ever saw, and then two of the
Oh
crappiest movies I've
yeah.
ever seen: Killer Movie and Under the Bed. So yes, I'm not saying it kind of
Wow.
I didn't mark went down, but yeah, so the bottom, but no real major changes. But I'm like, that's not my line. If a movie goes below Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies, it's a bad reason for it. Because again, that
Uh-huh.
movie is bad, but I had a little enjoyment in the beginning. I'm not as bad as the
Sure.
story and acting was. But I think I had no expectations. So I'm like, whatever. I think because when we were originally talking, you had high expectation. It is a shit movie. Anyone that do not see that movie. Anyhow,
No.
so yeah,
Unless you're bored and you have lots of beer, that's it.
yeah,
Just
no,
I
but
wouldn't. I couldn't even recommend it. Just shut it off after an hour, and it'll
not
be
even
fine.
half an hour. Just get to what you need to see. When the
Yep.
zombies appear, and yes, the make it, and then you're done. So,
That's it.
yeah. So no, I mean there was, like I said, maybe a couple moves here. I'm not going to go through each one. That I just wanted to bring those two up because, like I said, I mean Beetlejuice
Yeah.
is still number 35. Well, excuse me, that it's actually now it's going to kind of go down a little bit after the four movies I saw today. So technically it's at 31
Sure.
now, but I will tell you every movie I saw today was better than Beetlejuice. Maybe not by
Wow.
much, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's still a shit movie. But yeah, I was looking and that's all I did, like one and two and three, and I was like double checking. And like I said, I felt pretty good at the top half of my list. I'm like, I like this. A few things might have changed, but nothing major. But Soto, I
Yeah.
think we just kind of need to get into this because yes, we have seven movies to talk about today. It's what happens when you
Whew.
have an off week. So
My God.
I know. It feels like a lot, but it is the most we've ever talked about. I think the most we've done before this was six, and that was week
Yeah.
number one. So,
Fuck it. Yeah,
uh,
let's just go. I mean, it's a movie like expedition. Let's do it.
so the first movie I saw, and when I saw the trailer for this, I was kind of intrigued. It's the 2022 film Fall, and this
Oh
kind of
yeah.
movie,
Yep.
I always like this kind of premise. It reminded me similar to movies like Open Water, Frozen, and I'm not talking
Oh
about the
God.
animated shit, the one where they get stuck on the ski, but basically where you don't need a lot of actors, and it's just almost like a fight for survival. Hard part is a lot of these
It's a big thing
movies,
back in the day.
yeah. Hard part
Yeah,
is a lot
back
of
in the
these
day.
movies can't do anything, once they get to the point that they need to get. This movie does not star
Mhm.
the two main stars. I know. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, surprisingly, in this in a very small role as one of the girl's fathers, and I was like, oh shit. But
Wow.
obviously, like many, of these kind of movies, or we joke about with twisters. You know, it starts off with a tragedy. You know, they're climbing, and of course, one of the girls' husband happens to fall and die, and they have to set up.
Oh,
And
okay.
she has been drinking for 51 weeks, and it's almost a year to her husband's death. And her friend, who's been out of town just becoming a famous like climber YouTuber or whatnot, it's like, listen, we have to do this. Let's spread his ashes. He would want this. And so she talks to him, and yes, they
Would you?
climb this tower, like this 2,500 some odd foot tower. And obviously, they get up there and succeed. But as they climb back down, the ladder to the top part of it breaks. And now they're stuck on top of the tower, obviously, with no cell phone service. And it's like, what do they do? So I
That's
will admit
horrifying.
it is. And I will be honest, Soto, at first when I was watching this, you know how you get like on a roller coaster and like your legs and your, stomach area gets very queasy that,
Of
when
course.
you're like that up and down. I
Yeah.
felt that. I was like, damn. And I read something which amazed me because what they did is a lot of this practically in a way. Now, obviously not a 2,500-foot tower, but they built the top part of the tower on top of a mountain to give it the illusion that it was high up. So I wanted,
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, I'm like, that's kind of smart. It was made for only 3 million. I think it made like 12 million bucks. So obviously it did well. So yeah, I was intrigued by the concept. I like this little thing. Like, what are they going to do? But like most of these movies, they add way too much story that they did not need to add, which cheapens everything. It comes to find out that this
Mm.
girl's friend who lost her husband, that her friend actually slept with the husband before they got married. And I'm like, why? Why do
Oh,
you need to
jeez.
add all this fucking story to it when it just needs to be survive? Like, what the fuck can we do to get down? And yeah, I
Right.
think this was originally supposed to be a short, and the director's like, hey, I can make this into a film. So yeah, I enjoyed it the first part. Then they added all this stupid nonsense, and the way they find out is because I guess her husband can never say the words "I love you," so he taps like 143, for like each I and four letters for love, and the other girl for some reason has that tattooed on her foot 143. I don't know why, story reasons, and it was so stupid, Soto. And but like I said, the special effect, not even the special effects, but the fact what they did, I was in, and it was just, I don't know. After a while, it just kind of got boring. It's like, okay, this could have been a half an hour, 5 minutes shorter, and
Wow.
I could have, well, because once they're up there, yeah, it's like, they try different things, and then yeah, they see two guys and they throw their shoes and stuff, and they actually get their attention, and then the two guys just basically steal their car. I'm like, what? Like they see two
Wow.
girls on top of the
So
tower
random.
and their first thought to steal the car. I'm just like, oh my god. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, no, I don't know. Once they got to the top and the ladder broke, I was good. Like I said, it was very interesting, and then they added all this extra bullshit to it, and I was just like, I kind of just, I don't want to say I checked out, but I just felt like it very much cheapened what should just be a plain old survival story. Again, like Open Water, which isn't a great movie, also, but there, because obviously, how much can you do with two people treading fucking water and with sharks around? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we
Yep.
got, they had some scenes outside, but there wasn't much more to it. It's just, for that movie, it was just what was going to come. Like they knew their fate. They knew, because they're in the middle
Yep.
of the fucking ocean, and you accept their fate with them, and it's just it's very sad, but at the same time, it's like, okay, and kind of similar to this, but they just, I don't know, and like it was entertaining in the first half. Just the second half, it just fell for me. But yeah, it was a simple premise, and I think that's why, again, I like it. Hey, when I've talked about this, I love simple premise movies. This movie is
Hmm.
PG-13. Originally, I read this. I have to share this. Originally, it was R, but they had to take out 30 fuck words because they said fuck so many times. They're like, no, let's just make this PG-13. So they had to reshoot or redub a lot of things like friggin' and stuff like that.
What?
Yeah, because they didn't want to. They need to make some kind of money off of it. And like I said, it did make some money. It made 12 million off of three, so that's a success. I don't know if this is true or not, but I also read that they're doing a stupid sequel. Like, what more can you do?
I mean,
To
there's always, you can always take it to the next level, Chad, as we know. So maybe they'll be close to outer space this time. I don't know. That's my guess. Fall.
I
So it's gonna be fall too.
I think it fall too, and again, in the same director's coming back for it, and I'm just like, why? Well, just do a new movie. You know, you told your story, that's fine, but I don't know, like it
Well,
wasn't.
now it's a brand franchise now.
It
It's
well,
like
not
people are like,
yet.
oh, that movie
I don't know
was
if they've officially started yet, but yes, it does look like there's going to be a sequel. And I'm just like, no, maybe it's like now multiple people, and they're just going to kill each other off the top of whatever structure. You know, I don't know.
great.
Um, Again, I did like the
Wow.
beginning part, so I don't want to say this is a bad movie. I just they added too much story to it that was unnecessary. They did not need, the fact that her best friend slept with the husband. They could just been two girls stuck up there trying to figure out how, run the drone to wherever they can and get it back in time. Just that kind of survival. And yeah, no, I mean it ends and it's like, okay, nothing too exciting, but I will admit, like I said, those seeing those scenes and them climbing up, even before they got to the top so I felt it. Like you, I'm like, I would never climb that shit. I have a bad enough
Oh,
time just trying to go up a ladder on the side of a house. Like that is a little
oh
fearful
yeah,
for me. Like I'm like, okay, my feet very slow. So it was
yeah.
decent. This is a decent film. They just try to add more to it, and they could have shortened. They should have just kept this as a short, and it would have been perfect. Um, but yeah, that there's really not much more to say.
An
But I
hour.
did an hour. Yeah, this could have been an hour film, even a
Yeah.
half an hour. Just like here and that. But yeah, no, they did way too much, and yeah. So obviously we always talk about where we rank this. That this is
That's why we're here.
lower, but this falls. No pun directed, intended there. This would be right under Terrifier and right above Tag for me. That's kind of like where it's at. So it's number
Above Tag.
25. I do.
Oh, so this is a better movie than Tag,
I
even though
think
you've
so.
been touting
I think
Tag this whole
I
year.
think it's a better movie. I just you're gonna laugh more at Tag, and this might be one where I look at it down the line and could maybe do a flip flop. Like I said, if you have a fear of heights, this is gonna tackle. I don't. This is gonna build on that fear because again, I felt it, and you don't feel that kind of shit watching these kind of movies. Because it's a movie, but for
Sure.
some reason, I was even
Mhm.
just like getting queasy, and that's me. People could be like, "Chad, you're a wuss," whatever. Fuck it, I don't care. Um, but yeah, it is above
No, I
Tag because
can
I think it was like I said, the premise was there. I just hated the fact that they added unnecessary story to it, and a tattoo. She had like a 3 month fling with her husband, which now cheapens the death from the beginning, obviously. And she gets that shit
Yeah.
tattooed on her ankle. I'm like, no, why? She's like, well, he just had a
Why
way,
would you do that?
and I'm just like,
Oh,
yeah, it was stupid. But I will say I was pleasantly surprised and happy to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's always good in a lot of things, and he was just the dad trying to
yeah.
help out his alcoholic daughter. Like, you got to get past him, blah blah blah. But obviously he's trying to find her. Yeah, no cell service, so he just thinks she's ghosting him again. So yeah, no, this isn't a bad movie. I just think it could have been better. They needed to focus a little bit more on the survival instinct of it. Maybe if they were gonna do that bullshit love story, do flashbacks. I'm not always the biggest fan of flashbacks, but if it's done
Yeah.
correctly, I'm okay with it, if it's building character for the right reason. And this would have been a time like, okay, well, all you're doing is showing them stuck up there, fending off vultures and just, trying not to, you know, die of thirst. So I don't know. Like I said, it's not a bad movie. It is, like we joked about, there's movies that we won't be talking about a year and forget. I think this, will come, people will remember this, just because of the fact, anyone afraid of heights, the way they shot it, like they did it well. And I
Yeah.
actually think the two actresses, there's no stunt people either. They did their own stunts. Again, obviously there's probably a lot of safety guards to it, but with how they built it. So again, I think that puts into the realism and I can always respect that. So yeah, it's not a bad movie. I just think this could have been a lot better. Or maybe a lot shorter if they didn't want to go all out. So
Well, I mean, 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess that's a decent movie. We've seen movies rated much lower than 79%. So,
yeah. Speaking about movies that are probably rated lower than 79%. My next movie, so Soda, when we did this last fall, when we were trying to do like the Olympic grading and all that shit,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
one of the movie,
6.8. Yeah.
whatever. We're like, let's just do it. We'll talk about it later. But
Yeah.
one of the movies I saw, or I was going to do for that was 2017's Escape Room. Now, that movie was utter shit. I think I ranked it 3.1 because it had some cool kills in it, but none of the
Hmm.
characters were likable. Obviously these people get trapped in an escape room and it turns out people are dying. Why are they there? But
Hmm.
none of the characters in that one were likable, because they're all sleeping with each other. But the kills are kind of cool. Now I say that because in 2019 there was also a movie called Escape Room, and I said, "Fuck it, let's just see if this one's not as bad." I will say this movie was a little bit better, Soto. There is a little bit more of a point to it. Um, so yes, we follow this one girl who, she survived a plane crash, and she's just living her life, but she doesn't like to go out and try new things. She's very sheltered, and what basically our boss is
Hmm.
like, go do something that you've never done before, and she gets this box from him, and she solves the puzzle box, and it's like a ticket to like one of the best escape rooms ever. And obviously she meets five or six other people, I forget like the exact number. And again, kind of like the first one, they find out, oh shit, we can really die in this. And they think it's obviously fake at first until the first person dies. So yeah, there is a little bit more story to this than the 2017 one, but I'm gonna say there's not much more story. But if they escape, they get ten thousand
So
dollars. So that's kind of like the
I'm
big argument.
confused. Is it is this the same movie?
No,
Like,
no, totally
what?
different movie. Same concept, same fucking concept. So in 2017, and
What?
this girl, she's trying to, her fiance, and she brings her friends, but then her fiance, again, the cheating stuff, which we just talked about in fall, so they just are against each other, and it's just, you never get a full answer. This one, basically, you find out
Hmm.
kind of similar to Belko experiment, almost like Hunger Games, is that people are watching them and are betting on who will win. And each kind of situation, they get different kind of a theme.
Oh, okay.
So
Yep.
I mentioned she survived a plane crash. They find out that each one of them are sole survivors of a very huge accident where or something has
My
happened to maybe other people where
lost.
so the idea is like, well, if they got lucky once, can they get lucky again? So again, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that that is a very good story measure, but again, they put more effort into the story. The kills in the rooms were a lot better than the 2017 one. So I was a little bit more interested, but yeah, it can kind of like fall. It got
Oh
boring
man.
real quick.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, obviously, there's an end, but you find out there's
And
more to it. It's
yeah.
not like, they ended like, well, what the fuck's going on?
Oh.
And there is a sequel. I think it's called 2021 Escape Room, like Tournament of Champion. I don't know for sure. I did not write it down, so I do not have the subtitle. And if that becomes free this year, so I will see it because I'm like, well, I gotta fucking see where this continues. So there is an actual sequel
Yeah.
to this.
Tournament of
It
Champions.
is called. All right, so I was
Yeah.
right. I wasn't
Yeah.
100% sure as I
Escape
was.
Room Tournament of Champions. I'm looking at it right now. It's rated 52% on Rotten
Oh
Tomatoes,
my
but
god, it's actually
75%.
50. I did not think it would be that high. I don't think
It's
either.
51 is 52, but yeah, it's middle of the road. Escape Room Tournament of Champions is a sequel to the box office hit psychological thriller that terrified audiences around the world. Yeah, so six people find themselves locked in another series of escape rooms, slowly uncovering what they have in common to survive and discovering they've all played the game
Yep.
before.
Again, kind of like
Yeah, so
it's the once it comes free. Now, I will say this movie did one thing that I fucking hate. I hate this trope, and I don't get it. And it works if again done right. So they start
course.
off, obviously showing this guy trying to escape, and things are coming, and you kind of almost like like a horror movie. You see the first kill does not matter for the rest of the movie. That I'm okay with. The problem was like they show this, and then you see that this character who dies is now part of. So they show the end. So you're like, well, this kid is going to survive up until that point. Why?
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that it did not serve any purpose outside of like look at this escape room, almost like Star Wars style, when they're trapped in like that garbage chute, like the walls are caving in. So it was a cool fucking scene. Do not get me wrong, because you're frantically with him trying to survive. But I'm like, why? There is no story point to it. You know, like, well, like in Usual Suspects, you know how you kind of get that little shot at the beginning and like someone's spine by the barrel. You know, they
Yeah.
show just enough, and then you see that at the end where it all makes sense. So, but they show
Hmm.
this, and you're like, well, now you see this kid's part of this escape room. You're like, well, fuck it. You know he's going to get to that room, like, so you know none of these near death escapes are. It's going to kill him until he gets to whatever that room. So I hate it.
Right.
Like again, there was just no point, and I wish, it was just for a sake to show how cool the room was to get people hooked. But then they could have just gone to the next group, like just show a cool kill, whatever, and then go to the next group, and that would have been fine. But no, once I saw him, like, oh, wasn't he just? I'm like, oh, fuck me. Like I was kind of bummed. I'm like, why the fuck? Um, so
Hate that.
it was, like I said, there was enough intrigue. The rooms were cool. The way they did it was cool. The deaths were kind of fun too. So there was a. I will admit, so like I said, this was a lot better than that 2017 one, and I think that's why it was a success because the way they did it. I don't want to say obviously realistic, but like just it was just intense. But I don't know. I mean, it's still kind of ranked low. But I will see the sequel, But right now, this I put it at 29. It's right underneath Wings. Um,
29. Okay.
29 above, so it's still low. I like, I don't know if I'll ever watch this again, though I am going to watch. I'm just curious how the fuck they could do a sequel. I mean, I know from what you
What would
just
you?
told me, they're going to get all like these
Yeah.
past winners, which I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Um, we'll see, we'll see. But again, I think this one worked better because these characters were a little bit more likable. They were a little bit more fleshed out than that 2017 Escape Room. But like I said, there's just there wasn't much. Obviously though, when you're watching, you're like, yeah, this is cool, but it's a little. They made the rooms a little unrealistic. Excuse me. It's not like something comes out of the wall and just Indiana Jones shoots a dart at you or something. They're like, there's no way. You're like, there's no way this could fucking happen. I know it's a movie. Do not get me wrong, and I go along for the ride. Which later on I'll tell you a movie I went for along for the ride for. But yeah, so no, it still ranks low for me. But
Yeah.
if the sequel becomes free, I will see it this year out of sheer curiosity because I'm like, all right, I'm here. Let's just see if this is better. I know you just read the reviews and somehow it's the same or a little bit better. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
again,
Well, I mean, would you recommend it to me if I wanted to rent this at Blockbuster?
well, let's see. You personally, no, knowing somewhat kind of your type of movies, but we always have those people that like those bad horror movies. I'd be like,
Hmm.
I wouldn't say this is a popcorn flick, but you know what? Like, hey, you just want a mindless thing? Sure. I don't know if you personally would like it, Soto, because I know how much you love escape rooms and puzzles and all that shit, because they're your favorite.
Oh God. The idea of a live escape room to me is one of the most boring things
Oh,
that I could possibly think of. It's something I want no part of. I'm like, they're like, you have to solve puzzles to get out of here. I'm like, in real life, no, thank you. I'm good.
oh yeah, no,
I'm
Jill
not
and
gonna
I love
spend
escape
money.
rooms. We've done a few. It's not, so it can be fun, especially if you have a big group. It helps a lot more because then you have more sets of eyeballs. I just know from your video game
My God,
experience,
no.
puzzles and shit. That's like I said, it's not your
I don't
forte.
like it, man.
So yeah, I would not
Ah,
suggest it to you, but others I'd just be like, yeah, if you want a cheap horror
wow.
film, go ahead because that's kind of what it is. But like I said, I was in it for the ride. I'm just not saying I,
Yeah.
I loved it, but like I said, we've seen a lot worse, and yeah, I will see the sequel if it whenever it becomes free. I'm hoping this year so we can continue this story and end this story, kind of like Terrifier 3. It's coming,
Oh,
you just
I
don't know
know. I know.
when. So.
So far, you've hit me with heights and escape rooms. I don't like your movie choices so
Oh,
far.
don't
They're
worry.
like giving the
I
trigger.
we'll talk about a couple more, but you know what? Let's get off of my choices and let's get to the ones that you happen to have picked this week. Soda, what was the first movie that you saw?
Yeah, so I had not seen a movie in like a week or so because it was just life was happening. Um, so when I thought about watching my next movie, I said, you know what? I need to watch something that won the Oscars or something like that. Like I need to kind of see like what's going on. So I wanted to kind of go in. So I think that this movie that I watched, it's 2024 is Anora. Pretty sure it won like 5 Oscars or some shit. I know it won a lot. I think including best screenplay. And again, I don't have that backed up, but I know that it was the big thing that night. Um, but I hadn't seen a trailer for it, and I didn't know much about it. And so when I saw it that it was free, um, I jumped on it. And to give you the back of the DVD summary, Anora, a Brooklyn stripper with big dreams and a sharp tongue, thinks she's hit the jackpot when she marries the wealthy, love-struck son of a Russian oligarch. But when his powerful family descends upon New York to quote unquote fix the situation, Anora finds herself caught in a surreal, high stakes negotiation over love, money, and survival. A wild blend of gritty realism, dark humor, and heartbreaking vulnerability, Anora explores what it means to fight for your place in a world that wants to buy you out. So that's the synopsis.
Interesting.
And basically it plays, yeah, it's so immediately we are in the world of strippers. It's immediately adult and provocative. And it goes into just this power dynamic of her meeting this basically this kind of kid who's just wicked rich and living in the United States, and he asks her if she does any side work. And she does, and so they hook up that way, and he pays her, and then he decides to pay her for a whole week. And then they have a blast basically, and they decide on a whim to get married. But you can't fuck around with Russian oligarchs. And so I had this like very um kind of like an anxiety when I was watching this movie because I'm like, oh my god, like you can't fuck with Russians. It's like this is definitely not Pretty Woman, right? Like, Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. It's not anything like that. It's very real. It's shot well. It's actually kind of fucking funny. Um, and her Long Island accent is like incredibly surprising and was really really funny too. So I didn't expect that this was going to be as funny as it was, and I didn't expect that it was going to be like as shot well as it was. I mean, this is like for me kind of like Lost in Translation, um, Requiem for a Dream type like composition and cinematography. Just really well shot, super artistic, and done well, and well acted, well written, tight, and yeah, I enjoyed this overall movie. I thought it was great, and I thought that um, it was well deserving of the Oscars. I mean, I kept thinking about this movie more and more as every day went by, and it's actually a movie that I'm probably going to watch again, which I haven't said that too many times for the 34 movies that I have on this list. I have mentioned that I will buy certain ones. With this one, I'll probably end up buying it, and then I would also buy the framed like movie poster of it as well. So I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed the vibe. If you want an adult, provocative experience that's well acted and kind of like not really like anything else out there right now, this is a great recommendation. And when it comes to ranking,
So before you get into your
as we
rankings, hold on a second. I just
yes,
wanted I did look this up because I already knew. Yes, it did win 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. So Best
oh,
Picture, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay. Also
best
Best Actor.
actress.
Best
Oh,
Actress.
she was
Yeah.
oh she was great.
And
I
now,
I think that her star making role, she was fantastic in this. Mikey Madison, I think is her
yep,
name.
I'm looking at, yeah, Mikey Madison. And yes, because
Yeah,
obviously, and not to go back, when Amelia
that's
Perez
fine.
had its downfall with what was happening, this movie popped up because obviously a lot of people thought Amelia Perez was going to win a lot of awards. So this is the one that kind of swept in and definitely took a lot of the
Yeah.
big ones. So yeah, no, it won the big one. Definitely, so I might have to check this out myself, for Best Picture. But yeah, so I'm just letting you know, not just 5 awards, but also the best of the best. So, but yes, now we're
I
at your
agree.
ranking. Hmm?
I agree with that. I 100% agree that this was probably the best movie last year. For me this year, as far as all the movies that I've seen, this went right into the number two slot for out of my movies that I've seen so far.
Ooh.
So this would go right under
Whip-
Whiplash. And again, to continue the theme, I'm probably going to end up buying Whiplash, Anora, and Godzilla minus one. I don't know about Paddington 2, but those top three are definitely movies that I would buy and add into my Blu-ray collection. Moving forward, I think that those are just three fucking just great movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of done with physical. I don't know about buying my top, but well, that's a discussion for another day. But yeah, Nora, like I
Oh,
said, once you said you saw this, I'm like, oh, he saw the best picture. I'm very curious, and I'm like, I know I need to see
yeah.
this, one way or
Oh, it's
another.
good,
So
dude. It's good. I'm not bullshitting you. Like I didn't really know what to expect when I was going in. But this is an awesome movie. And one that I'll have no problem owning. But it's gonna get a second watch now that I kind of know how it all went down. Because sometimes for me, I get caught up in the anxiety of how it's gonna turn out, and I miss things. Um, Sometimes I need to watch something a second time and be like, oh, okay, cool. When I'm in that relaxed state of not having to worry about what the plot is. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and I agree. Watching it again, can definitely help because you do miss certain things because not just like you said, you watch cinematography,
Absolutely.
you see, you're just caught up in the moment, and then you're like, oh,
Yep.
and then just a second watch never hurts. Well, yeah, now you got a new number two movie. That's kind of interesting. So, Soto, what's the second movie you happen to watch this week?
So I saw another movie that was big around the Oscars, and this movie a lot different, a lot larger runtime than the previous Anora, and definitely a much different vibe. This movie is 2024's The Brutalist. Back a DVD summary: when Hungarian Jewish architect Laszlo Toth escapes post-war Europe with his wife, he finds refuge and reinvention in America. But the dream comes at a cost. Commissioned to build a grand vision of modernity for a mysterious industrialist, Laszlo wrestles with memory, identity, and moral compromises embedded in every slab of concrete. The Brutalist is a haunting symphony of ambition, alienation, and architecture, where the weight of history is embedded in every structure we raise. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, Adrian Brody won the Oscar for this movie,
Yep.
right? Second Oscar. This is one of the most boring movies that I've seen this year. I can't even tell you the pain that it required me to watch this movie. This movie is shot gorgeously. It's shot in 70 millimeter, just like Lawrence of Arabia. Every shot looks great. It looks awesome. The colors pop, everything. But
Well, it
man,
did
the
get best
fucking
cinematography,
story.
so
Oh, that makes perfect sense. But the story is fucking. I don't know what the fucking story was. So, I mean, yeah, there is a story, I guess, in the way that things just happen, but they didn't make sense to me. And there's like a very like weirdly unnecessary scene that's like in the third act. I guess we call it the third act. This behemoth of a movie. Um, and I just didn't like fucking vibe with it. Like it was just long, and again, it was beautiful and long, but no story for me that gripped me in any sort of way. Again, I thought Adrian Brody was great in this. I think very deserving of the Oscar, but things just happened in this movie. And yeah, it's about an industrialist or whatever. He's an architect that has a very particular style. Brutalism is about concrete and lasting structures, and these are not the most like aesthetic structures, maybe classically, but they're strong and they're simple. Um, Maybe that was the point of the movie. I have no fucking idea. But I'll tell you right now, I will never watch this movie again. And if you want me to know where the fuck I rank this,
oh, this is gonna be
I
good.
rank it.
Maybe.
I rank it. Actually, now that I think about it, because I'm looking at like where I wanted to rank it. Hmm. It wasn't great for me, man, and I don't ever want to see it. But I'm gonna say that it's fuck, this is a tough one, dude. I'm gonna say it's below Conclave and above Free State of Jones.
Ooh, I was close. I thought you were gonna go below Free State of Jones. I was looking
I
at.
thought I
I
was
just
too.
because of
I
how I
really
remember
thought I was too.
the way you talked about Free State of Jones. I'm like, it was there, so I feel happy that I got it where you're going. But I'm like, this he's not just downing himself. This could go lower. All right, so now it's your new number 30 at the moment.
If you doubt yourself, it's going lower. That should be the new rule. It's like I feel doubt. This is actually gonna go lower than I thought because I was like, I was gonna put it right behind Oppenheimer, and I was like, nah, nah. Oppenheimer was boring to me, but I enjoyed it. Tree Life was something, but I enjoyed it. Tree Life had more story to me that was interesting. So I don't know. I just this movie didn't do it for me. So yeah, it's gonna go right below Conclave. That's gonna be where it goes.
It's right down there as far as the long movies that you don't give a shit about.
Uh, dude, I don't know why I fucking keep doing this shit to myself. I'm like, okay. I mean, because like you watch a fucking trailer for a movie and you're like, oh man, of course the trailer's only going to be the best parts, and you get excited for it, and then you watch it and you're like, this was not it. Uh, Jin Urso, I think, was in this too, randomly from Rogue One. Um, yeah, but this movie I will never see. And honestly, if I'm working at Blockbuster Video and somebody wants to rent this, I'm telling them don't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't.
Don't do it.
3 hours and 21 minutes? That's disrespectful. Baseball's shorter than this movie.
Nowadays, yes. Yes, it is. You can watch a game.
Yeah. Fuck yeah,
Oh
dude.
my
If
god.
your movie is longer than a baseball game, I'll tell you right now, I'm not interested. I don't care. Like, 2 hours and 20 minutes, you're fucking pushing it. Although Anora was 2 hours and 19 minutes, and it was, again, very beautiful to watch, and there was tension that carried me throughout. Like we always say, just give me a fucking story.
Yeah.
While
Yeah.
Nora's story had great story and great cinematography mixed together, which is the ideal, Brutalist had great acting, great cinematography, and a story that I could give two shits about.
Yeah, I hate that because that's usually when I start checking out. I'm just like, why? But and I hate checking out a movie
Yeah.
sometimes. I mean, especially the Academy Award ones, you feel like there should be something. I mean, I know it's not everyone's gonna hit, but you're like, I should love this, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, I get lost. I mean, not to go on our quick rant. I don't know if you remember this movie, and I'm going to share this real quick before I get to my next movie. So there's a movie, I
Yeah.
think it was early 2000, called Gosford Park. Do you remember this? I remember
With
hearing
like
about.
Ryan Gosling or something?
No, no, I honestly don't remember Soto. It took me 5, 6 tries to watch it. I stopped the tape. I think I had it on VHS, and I couldn't. And I'm like, I need it. Obviously, this is my very early days of Blockbuster. I'm like, I gotta watch this, and I'm just like, I suffered. I don't even remember it. I don't want to remember it. I just remembered I had to stop it and then start it again. It was
God.
that bad, and I was just like, I never want to see this again. I couldn't tell you what it's about. I don't even care. I just remember it was too long, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. Oh.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, this was a movie. But yeah, no thanks.
Yep. So to my next movie. I went on Peacock because I was trying to figure something out. And it's funny that you mentioned
Oh, yeah.
Academy Awards because, wasn't it last year? Was it last year? The year before? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once was the big surprise hit. Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
so, and it got the Academy Award for, and I'm probably going to mispronounce it, but I think his name is Kwan. Basically, Data from the Goonies. He kind of came back, won the Academy Award, blah,
I
blah, blah.
mean, that's short round. Short
Short
round for
round.
me, but yes, you
Short
could. Yeah.
round Data. Yes, you can go either round. I always put either way. But there was a 2025. So this is his first film since then, and it was a movie called Love Hurts. I don't know if you've seen this yet.
Oh.
No, yeah, no, no, no.
Oh.
So this movie also has Daniel Wu, Marshawn Lynch, Beast Mode Marshawn Lynch, and Sean Astin. All can't small roles, but basically Soto, he's a real estate agent, and no one knows that he had a past of an assassin. He was a kung fu expert. He just
Oh
wants
my
to live
God.
his life, and yeah,
The
basically,
Beekeeper.
Maybe, and he's just happy with his new life. And then he gets a red envelope that says "I'm back." And next thing he knows, he gets knocked out, and he wakes up with a knife in his hand, and he's zip tied. And then it all comes out. So this movie is an hour 23 minutes, and this is the definition of a
Oh,
fucking popcorn movie. So I buckled in my seatbelt. I said, "Fuck it, let's see what happens." I went for the ride. So I love this movie. Now, it was just fun.
wow.
If you and your wife, or not just, I'm talking to the general public who's not listening, but if one person wants a martial arts movie and one person wants a love story, and you don't really care about plot, you just go this. Now, I say I love this soda. I mean, this did not reinvent the wheel, but I just fucking enjoyed it. It was just mindless, and I was happy. The beginning fight scenes reminded me a little bit of Jackie Chan with just the comical aspect of it.
Yeah.
A little bit more blood than what I remember Jackie Chan films. But yeah, soda, there's nothing to this movie. I joke in a year we're not gonna talk about this movie. In 5 years, we're gonna forget this movie. But you know what? If you just want a fun ride, put on Love Hurts. Seriously, it was a fun movie. It was short, it was to the point, and you're just like, I'm in. And there was not a boring part of this movie. Yes, a lot of it we've seen before
Wow.
in so many fucking movies. Like I said, they did not reinvent the wheel. Just like, as you mentioned, the beekeeper. But yeah, I just like, I love this guy, and I don't know much else of this other actor and actresses in this, but I'm just like, yeah, so yeah, so obviously he's kind of being hunted down. Basically, the quick premises, um, he broke away from his brother and this life, and all he had to do was kill this woman who he did love, and she is back, and he's like, how are you back? And so you're kind of like, well, did he actually kill her? What, so you're kind of trying to solve that mystery. That's basically the premise. And so, yes, she's back. His brother wants him now dead, and answers like, hey, why, how is she back? Because I guess obviously there's this now money plot to it, which I don't care. You don't even care. You're not watching this for the plot. You're just watching this for the fun of it, Soto. Um, but yeah, I will
Sounds like
admit
it.
the most unrealistic thing about this movie was the fact that, first of all, there's a payphone. Soda, when was the last time you saw a payphone? Someone uses a payphone, and I'm like, well, does this movie take place in like the night? No, this is present day movie. When was the last time you
I've
saw a
never.
real?
I mean, no, not unless it's like in a really seedy part of town. That's the only time that I would guess that would be. But no, it's been at least like 20 something years.
Yeah, no. There's also a video rental store where which a cool fight takes place. I'm like, when was the last time someone rented a video? And a jukebox that plays CDs. I mean, who could? So yes, I mean, I laugh.
Why?
I don't know why, and
Strange.
you know what? I don't care. I literally, like I said, as I said, this is just a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say this is the best movie ever, but I don't hate on this. Like I said, if you just want to sit down and just enjoy a film, see this. The fight scenes were fun. The love story is just there, and it is what it is. And I guess where I rank this, because there's not much more I can say. This is definitely middle of the road for me. I have this at number 17, right above Smiley
Wow.
Face and underneath Terrifier 2, because it is just again, I am serious. We're not gonna remember this movie in a year. Again, I guess this movie didn't get great reviews, but again, I just kind of was like,
No, no,
I
it did not.
I I just was like,
It's 19%.
yeah, I saw that, and I didn't care. I don't care. But that's the thing. You need movies. What we call the popcorn flicks. You just want a fun action movie,
Yeah.
and he's so likable in everything he does. He does remind me of Jackie Chan, because no matter what, you just always root for him. Like this was the first movie he did, but he was in Loki season 2, and it was just I think just because the actor is just so likable, it's hard not to root for him. And he's, no matter what he says or does, even when he becomes like, he kind of shows like he is a badass villain, because in the beginning, they're like, oh yeah, you couldn't hurt a fly kind of thing, and like, it's hard. He's not a badass, but it works. And yeah, no, it was a fun movie. Again, we're not going to talk about this. We're going to forget about this movie, Soto. After this review, we're going to move on until we do like a review. Like, oh yeah, love hurts, but you know what? If you're just home and you
Right.
want a fun action movie, a fun thing that mixes martial arts and bad romance, check this out. Because it was enjoyable. I went along for the ride. I was smiling for 83 minutes or 93 minutes, excuse me, my math. Oh no, 83 minutes. Yeah, hour 23. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
And
short. It's
yeah,
short.
and I loved it. It was short. It was to the point. And I'm like, I'm in. So yeah,
I
no,
love it.
love hurts.
That makes
Just
you want to watch it.
you know what? So you probably would enjoy it. It might. I don't know where it would rank. It'd probably be middle of the road for you too. Who knows? But if you just want a fun movie, maybe I'm wrong. Again, you're not watching this for story. There, there's, I've said this about other
No.
films. There's nothing. It was kind of unoriginal in a lot of parts, but it was just enjoyable enough where I'm like, yeah, I like this. The fight scenes were just fun. Remind me a lot of like young, fun Jackie Chan. So yeah, that's what I saw, and I was happy.
Cool.
It was the first movie to make me happy
Love
this
hurts.
week. Love Hurts. It's on
Better than
Peacock.
Lift.
So
Better than Lift.
100%. Because I like this actor a lot more than Kevin Hart. I mean, yeah, that movie didn't do anything original either, but it just wasn't entertaining. At least here, he's entertaining enough. Like I like this guy. Show.
Yeah.
That's it. But Soto, I did see one more movie to round out my 2 weeks of movies, and I think I
Mhm.
went to Netflix and I was just like, let me see what's on. I wasn't sure where I was gonna go. And I forgot they even made this movie. And a lot of the movies I've seen this year have been like a nostalgic return. And then I see Dumb and Dumber 2, and I'm just like, fuck it. So, yeah, it's been 20 years. The original 1994. I love the original. I think, there's a prime Jim Carrey. Jeff Daniels at that time was more of a serious actor. Held his own with Jim
Mhm.
Carrey. It was just fun. That was just such a great movie. Oh, Soto, this movie made me so sad. So sad.
Oh no.
I was just like,
No,
oh,
I mean it looks funny on the cover. I'm like, I feel like Jim Carrey doesn't do bad movies.
oh,
I
he
think I'm
does.
wrong on
He
this, huh?
he does. And this is definitely going to be one of them. So
Oh no.
so the beginning of the movie is the exact same to anyone that's seen the trailer to this. So Harry Jeff Daniels is visiting Lloyd, who's been hurt. If you remember in the first one, he couldn't get his love. She, even though she said one in a million, he wasn't it. So he's in like this home, and he's been there for 20 years, and he's keeps
Oh
visiting
no.
him, and then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, no, I got something I gotta do. I can't visit you anymore. And Jim Carrey comes out. He's like, gotcha. He basically pulls off a 20-year prank. So I'm like, he's just like,
What
I
the
was
fuck?
faking it the whole
Oh
time.
no.
And then Harry's like, wait, when I changed your diapers? And so yeah, if that's like the
Oh my
previews.
god. I have never seen a trailer for this, so
You
that
haven't
sounds funny in my
that
mind.
that is the one scene that's what they show in the trailer. That's always remember. It's just like he's got like the long beard, and yeah, he plays the prank. But the thing is, Harry needs a new kidney, and basically, he feels like he's getting sick. So obviously, he's telling Lloyd, "I can't come the next 3-4 months." So he's like, "Well, let's go to your parents. Your parents will be a match." And they go to his parents' house, and his Harry's parents are Asian, and he doesn't realize he's adopted. So
Oh
he's just
wow.
like, and he collects all his mail, from like the last 20 years because he hasn't seen his parents in 20 years, and he finds out he has a letter from a woman that's like, hey, you have a child, we need to talk, and he never realized he had a child, and then obviously Jim Carrey's like, well, they're going to be a match, let's go find your child and get you a kidney, and then what we do, we go on a road trip. Um,
Of
yeah, so
course.
the beginning part of this movie is probably the funniest movie. There is a callback to the kid with the they tape the bird back on the heads.
Oh,
So that
Big
character's in
Bird.
it. Yeah.
Bird.
But
Haley Joel Osment? Like, was that who
I
that
don't.
was?
Was it
The
Haley?
original?
I didn't think it was Haley Joel Osment. So I do not know if it's the same actor. I would have to look that up. I obviously it's 20 years later, so who knows? Um,
I have
so,
to look.
so it's hard because yes, obviously they're idiots, and I don't know why it works so well in the first one, and I felt like it didn't work so well in this one. Yes, there are some scenes I was
Oh
laughing at, but
no.
overall, it was just like it kind of just got old and just like pointless and
No.
over. I was not a fan, Soto. I'm like I was trying to get into this, but I was like, no, this is dumb, and I know it's Dumb and Dumber. Um, But yeah, it was just
Mhm.
it kind of hurt my soul a little bit. I expected a lot more funny parts, and they kind of rehashed some scenes or some storylines from the first one. But yeah, it was just
Uh,
there was a lot of hitter. I felt with Jim Carrey, kind of in these characters, that it should have just been a cakewalk. Just play the hits, do something stupid. And I don't know, maybe
yeah.
I would like to say I'm getting older, but no, because my taste isn't getting any better. I like these kind of dumbass movies. This just wasn't it.
Right.
It just made me yearn to
Mhm.
watch Dumb and Dumber again, which I might have to. I will say it is better than that dumbass sequel, Dumb and Dumberer, when Harry met Lloyd. I don't even want to talk about that, but the prequel that
Yeah.
happened that
That
didn't
is
even
that even
happen. Oh no, this is better than that. Because that was,
oh
from what I can remember, that was shit beyond shit. Um, and
yeah.
yeah, so there was a few parts
Yeah.
where I did, like I said, I laughed at, but overall, so I was kind of surprised how much I was just like cringing at some parts. I'm like, this isn't even funny to me. So yeah, the beginning part, it starts off
Oh no.
well. It does. It does start off well, but it goes downhill real quick, and it did not bring itself. I was just like, is this movie over? I was at the point where I'm like, is this movie over yet? Just please be over. You kind of saw where it was going. I'm like,
I
oh,
hate that feeling.
Kathleen Turner's in it, so that it was a fun little,
Wow.
she had a small role again, who she played basically the mom, the one who's looking for this daughter as well. But anyhow, yeah, it was I hate to say it, it was bad. Just keep your memories of the first Dumb and Dumber. I would not suggest this to you. Does that? I mean, you know what? If you want to take a chance, don't get me wrong. Maybe you're like, oh, I love it because it happens. I'm not saying but for me personally, it starts off with a bang and goes downhill real quick. And yeah, it's
Oh, that's
bad.
too bad.
It's not the worst I've seen this year, because I did laugh at some parts. Um, it is ranked number 33. I put this above Lady and the Tramp. I did actually put this underneath Teenage Mutant Ninja
Wow.
Turtles, the remake. So that should kind of tell you something. Maybe I was kind of disappointed. Well, all the other, like the nostalgic shit I saw, from even Jay and Silent Bob, which, I didn't hate. I just felt like that was the worst Jay and Silent Bob one, but it was there. Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's all higher up because I don't know. They know what they're trying to be, and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna do this. But this, oh, and I felt bad because I'm like, I really wanted this to be good, and it wasn't. It wasn't. It started off well though. Yeah, watch the preview, see the opening scene, laugh at that, and maybe just end there. Just keep the memories of 1994. But there was a joke in the end credits where, like, because this was 20 years later, they're like, we'll see you in 2034 in Dumb and Dumber 4, but FOR. Obviously just a dumbass gag, but yeah, so
Yeah.
this is low. This is definitely low on my list, and I can't. I thought this
Yeah.
again. I didn't think this was going to be better than the first one because I was a huge fan. I do love the first one. This was peak Jim Carrey at that time, but yeah, it was just it missed the mark on so many things. And you saw what it was trying to do, and I don't know, none of it worked. Again, it's similar, just a road trip, but you know, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I can't anymore. I'm glad. At least I know, and I'll leave it at that. At least I know now
At
how
least
bad
I
this.
know.
Because
It's like
when
movie's
they
over
do
10 years
sequels like
old
this,
already.
you're curious. People are like, "Well, is it any good?" Like, well, maybe I heard bad things. So that's why I miss working at a video store sometimes because you see it and you just tell people like, "Yeah, no, it's not as good." But if you want to see it, just take your chance. Don't say I didn't warn you. Um, so
Because you never know. Like some people might find shit like really hilarious.
right.
I don't know. I tend to love Jim Carrey and pretty much everything he does. Uh, I mean, he even made fucking Once Bitten watchable, and that movie is just absolutely stupid.
Yes, 100%
So
agree.
yeah, you know what I mean. So I don't know. I mean, maybe if I have nothing else to watch, I would definitely give this a shot.
And let me
If I
know.
had
If you
nothing else,
see it this year, we'll double review this. Again, I would suggest seeing Love Hurts. I just thought that was a more fun movie, but that's just me. But yeah, I was like I said, I wasn't expecting much. I figured this would be like a middle of a row kind of movie based on my list,
Mhm.
especially where Bill and
Yeah.
Ted and Jay and Silent Bob ended up. I never
Mhm.
thought this was going to crack the top 10, but I was just like, oh yeah, this is not good. And I don't know. I just felt like it should have been better. So I felt
Yeah.
like they just cashed in, did this, and started off strong, and just had nowhere to go. So, but that was that yeah that was kind of bad. Um, but anyhow, so
Well,
that ends my four movies this week. You have
or
the 75th movie that we've watched. 75.
oh,
So let's end this strong,
nice.
Soto. What is the movie that's going to be at number 75? Tell me all about this because I already know what it is, but let's go for it.
The movie that the movie that I watched, and is also probably the first documentary that I've seen this year, is Fantastic Fungi or Fungi, however you want to do it, from 2019. And really, it's just a documentary that just explores mushrooms, how they're connected to the environment that we're in, the history of mushrooms on this planet, how they connect to helping us, with depression, with certain kind of ones. And it's just kind of going over just how prevalent mushrooms are in our day-to-day lives. Now, I have to ask just to make sure that we're both caught up for this situation. Have we discussed mushrooms on pizza for you? How did you
Oh, I
feel
love
about
it.
that? Please
I'm a
love
huge
it.
mushroom guy. Now, I've never done mushrooms, so to speak. We'll leave that to itself. But
Oh,
I
oh,
actually, I put,
oh.
I today I had a salad, a chicken salad, and I bought some. I went to the store. I bought a salad. I knew I had some chicken I had to use up, and I bought a pack of mushrooms, and I put some mushrooms in my salad. I love mushrooms, grilled or raw. So I am fine
Yeah,
raw, or I'm fine with mushrooms on pizza.
I love mushrooms in general too, and this documentary has got a lot of like time lapse like cinematography, and it's narrated by Brie Larson as well. And it just kind of goes through just how mushrooms are connected to the world. Like, one amazing kind of fact that I learned was that like through the mycelium network underground that mushrooms have, they connect like tree roots and stuff, and trees can communicate with other trees through the mushroom like network, and they have like electrical signals that go through. So it's like if one tree over here is having a predator response, it can like direct nutrients to another tree in its same family using the mycelium network of like mushrooms. Because like mushrooms in general, they have so many like they're like little connectors or threads. There's more of them than there are like neurons like in the human brain. And in the animal or in the plant kingdom, humans are closely related to mushrooms themselves. So it kind of goes through this whole entire thing, and it has interviews with experts, and they say certain things about curing whatever. But I think that the most interesting part, for me personally, for mushrooms, I have quote unquote done mushrooms, but it's specifically that's psilocybin. And psilocybin is, kind of like a medicine that can help you kind of get over any sort of personality, emotional issues that you may have. With mushrooms, as like with shrooms in general, people kind of tend to think that, oh, it's a drug, it's recreational, and you take this as a party. Shrooms, and I want you to hear me when I say this, shrooms are not recreational. Okay.
No, from my
If you
understanding,
have
no, I
things,
agree. Agree.
if you have any latent or issues that you have not like dealt with, like from the time you were born in your past, everything like that, everything that is who you are from the very beginning of the chapter to who you are right now, when you take mushrooms, and if you take a large enough dose, and I've taken, I think, an eighth in my life, but that was in college. But when you take mushrooms, you are going through what is known as an ego death. And that is where you literally separate from your whole like mind and body, the things that you find important, and you kind of can see the big picture of like the world. And you start going through thoughts of being like, maybe this is not like as big a deal as I've been thinking about this whole time. And people can have personality changes, and people can have sort of psychological breakthroughs while on shrooms. I never recommend that people do shrooms in a party scenario at all. I've done that. I've had people that have done that, and it always ends up bad because it's an inward facing drug, and this really explores all of the benefits for it. And I think that that was really great. I thought it was done in a nice way. It was super interesting, especially talking about how our ancestors started using psilocybin. I'm talking like pre Homo sapien, using psilocybin because it would be like growing off of like the shit that the animals we were hunting were like leaving behind. So we would eat these psilocybin mushrooms, and it just so happens that the psilocybin mushroom and the enzymes in it, they connect perfectly with your brain, almost like it's like kind of meant to be. So like that relationship between humans and mushrooms and psychedelics, it was really showcased great in this as far as showing just like the benefits for psychology and depression and all that. So, but overall, I enjoyed the shit out of this movie, and I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed The Brutalist because it was, everything was presented, it was done, it was interesting, and it went through its course, and it wrapped up perfectly well, and it respected my time. It was only like an hour and 20 minutes. But I really enjoyed it, and I recommend it for anybody who is curious about psychedelics. I think that a lot of people get scared and turned off uh, for tripping for 8 hours, and that's okay. Nobody has to do that. That's actually terrifying. I've done that. It's exhausting. But from a microdose standpoint, it has been shown in studies that small amounts, not enough to get you tripping, like can help you with mood and depression and everything like that. So, recommend it for anybody who's curious about that. I enjoyed the shit out of this. Um, I didn't recognize it was Brie Larson as the narrator. She's narrating, I guess, from the point of view of the mushrooms. I thought that was kind of weird, but other than that, I enjoyed this movie. And if I had to rank it, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. It is going to be higher than The Brutalist because I actually enjoyed my time watching this. Um, if I had to rank it, it's again my first documentary. They're not all Jim Henson ones. Um, but if I had to rank it as a movie, strictly entertaining, I would say that I would put this. It's not bad, but it's not anything special either. So I'd put it like probably below Twisters and above Kung Fu Killer.
The
I feel like
number
that's a good spot for it.
27.
27. I think that's good. Because again, I'll probably never watch this again. But it was very entertaining and very informative and made me want to do shrooms. So, but those days are past me.
Oh my god. Fantastic
Yeah.
fungi or fungi.
Fantastic Fungi and where to find them.
Interesting. All right, so
Yeah.
we've been doing this for over an hour. This is officially the longest podcast, but that's because we had 7 friggin' films to get through. Yeah, we went from Academy Award winners to escape rooms
Um,
to shrooms. So
Heights, shrooms. I
I
mean, me was sex. Yeah, sex, concrete, and mushrooms. That was basically my three movies. Like sex, a lot of concrete, a lot of mushrooms.
oh yeah, but
We talked
yeah,
about.
we'll see what it comes up next week. I have no plans. Do you
Oh
have
yeah,
any? Do you have
I
any?
do.
Ooh, do we get a spoiler?
Yeah, I
Do we
do.
get a tease? I mean,
Yes. I am gonna because it's also free as well. But I think it's that Bob Dylan Complete Unknown movie. It's available on I want to say Max. No, I'm sorry. It's available on Hulu, and which means it's also available on Disney Plus because they're kind of both the same thing. But yeah, Complete Unknown. I think is gonna be my first movie. I don't know what else I'm gonna watch. I've got a busy weekend coming up, but I have a half day tomorrow, so I'll probably kind of sneak that in. And then I have Sunday and Monday off, so I should get another one in there too. So big weekend, big Memorial Day weekend. Usually a really big weekend for movies in the theaters. If we remember when we were younger,
yep,
Memorial Day weekend, all the good stuff came out. All the big summer blockbusters. Oh, I miss those days.
yeah. Maybe I'll go on my John Wick journey. That's now available on Peacock, so who knows? But anyhow, that will do it for us today. Yeah,
Nice.
75 movies. I got another 125 to go. So
75.
yeah, we're getting there. We are slowly getting there. But as we usually say, until
Woo-wee.
next time, just go enjoy some movies, people.
Yeah, just hit play.